Hello, listeners, and welcome to the greatest rising podcast in football. I'm Carson, and I'm a cardsaholic.
I'm Alex, and I'm a very sad Billsaholic.
I'm Ian, and I'm a Bearsaholic.
And with that, let's get into the intro. Welcome back, everyone, to Footballers Anonymous, coming at you from Week 5, where the Cardinals got that big W.
That's great.
What the
You
signal?
know, I would love to catch a big W, but we can't catch anything.
All right, welcome to our Week 5 episode. A lot of stuff happened this week that maybe shouldn't have, but it did. And just when you thought the power rankings were starting to make sense, we all got thrown for a loop again. Woo! I love football.
We're having these week 1, week 2 type weeks still, and it's like nothing is getting into shape. You would think that the good teams would start showing up. Not really. It's just everything's out of place still. It's fun. It's really funny, but also everyone's just bad.
Yeah,
It's not even.
It's just been very. It's been very back and forth time in the football right now. There's been a lot of things that have kind of been different.
I wouldn't even say
Yeah.
it's that everyone's bad. It's that everyone is so painfully mid. Everyone
that's
is. It's terrible. What a week. Week 5 has been. I think the only place to really start here is talking about what we saw on Thursday night.
Ooh,
Or
that was
actually, I didn't see it because this was the one Thursday night game I decided to sleep through, and I made a really good choice, apparently.
He really decided to skip the greatest Thursday night football game of Amazon's tenure so far.
Thursday night football, it was good enough that I got up the next day and legit just watched the whole game on YouTube TV because it was that goated. Kirk Cousins passing 500 yards, and even then, the Bucks still kept it a good game.
In that one game, Kirk Cousins' 500 passing yards was more than the Chiefs had in total leading up to this week by 60 yards.
That's not surprising in the slightest, but also that's insane. I do want to talk about Falcons quarterbacks for a minute because we'll get to the Falcons how they played later. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But Matt Ryan got inducted to the Ring of Honor for the Falcons. And I was watching that during halftime, and he was great for the Falcons, don't get me wrong, but man, the only thing that I could think of in that moment when I was watching that happen is imagine if he won that Super Bowl.
Yeah, would have been monumental. It was a great ceremony, though. It was very nice seeing not only what he meant to Atlanta, but what Atlanta meant to him. It was a nice ceremony to watch.
Right.
It was
He
really
shouted
nice.
out and everything. It was a very sweet moment.
We love
I
that
do
man.
want to say, obviously, his legacy is partially like he was amazing. Obviously, the choking Super Bowl was, it happened. But speaking of choking revolving around the Falcons, I want to also touch up on a CBS post that we had. I made a post about it on the Instagram. They completely screwed up the graphic that they made after that game. It was just talk about the Falcons' win losses and like how the Falcons have been. They had the scores correct, but they said they won versus Pittsburgh, lost versus Philly, won versus Kansas City, and then lost versus the Saints in week 4. And it was funny because I'm 99% sure they just didn't put that graphic back up again. So someone it'd be fine. I think someone got fired after that. I'll tell you what, we will never do that.
If you've never seen this before, then you aren't following Footballers Anonymous on Instagram, and that is a serious issue. So go do it. Footballers_anonymous on Instagram. We're posting lots of content there you can't get anywhere else, including our Thursday night Fanta videos. And if you were paying close attention to this one, there was a little tease for a small portion of what you are going to be seeing in our Week 9 special event we are calling Mid-Season Madness. Just a little taste of what you're going to get on Sunday. The Bears and the Cardinals will be playing. I believe it's in Arizona this time. It'll be very exciting. We'll be live streaming the game and our reactions to it the whole time. All 3 hours. You come in on YouTube. We're going to try to get a Twitch set up if for whatever reason you want to watch there. We will be there the whole time, no matter what this game turns out to be. And then on Monday night at 8:15 p.m. with the start of Monday Night Football, you will get anywhere you listen to music the Footballers Anonymous first album release. Why? Because there's no good reason why. Because it's funny. Yeah, look, we made a bunch of songs.
I don't like it.
Made a bunch of songs using AI. They're actually pretty good. It will be incredible. It is kind of gas.
I do want to just mention the podcast is it's our main source. We will also be giving you like a condensed podcast of the live stream, as well as an extra little tidbit in that mid-season episode as well that I will be talking about when we get closer to the game that I will kind of be running as we get there.
Correct.
We have some big things planned around mid-season holiday times. You're just gonna have to stay tuned to see what it all is.
All right. Yeah, keep listening. Okay, so you know who had a really good day today? The Jets.
Whoa. Now there's a team that really knows what they're doing.
Apparently, Aaron Rodgers is their coach now. I mean, who else?
GM. But yes.
Sorry, GM. My fault. Because why not?
He's becoming more of a GM than LeBron, which is pretty impressive.
That is an accomplishment. No, he is. That is an accomplishment.
And the big news with the Jets, Robert Saleh out the door.
Right as he was about to fire his OC too, which is kind of funny.
He was considering firing him. Woke up the next day, boom, he was gone.
He didn't even get to say goodbye to the team, which is wild.
He said goodbye to the team weeks ago. When Aaron Rodgers is starting out the season the exact same as Zach Wilson last year, yeah, he said his goodbye a while ago.
Yeah, I mean, it is exactly the same, starting 2-3 with exactly 93 points on the board. Aaron Rodgers and Zach Wilson, there is no excuse there.
I do want to mention that you could have I think the argument could be made that Hackett should have gone first and then Saleh later. Obviously, that's a Rodgers thing in there. That's definitely because of Rodgers. But remember, Saleh runs the defense, and the defense was still good.
This is true.
Just kind of like obviously, he didn't have a good record as a coach, and I don't think his coaching itself, plus the fact he didn't get along with Rodgers, that's why he got fired. But the fact Hackett's not gone too, that's only because of Rodgers. There's no other explanation. Like, the offense is inexcusably bad, and that is absolutely more on Hackett than Saleh.
Oh, yeah, 100%. When you have Aaron Rodgers crawling on the ground like he needs a res in Fortnite, you can't... that offense just doesn't work. You know who else's offense doesn't work? The Browns. And according to Terry Bradshaw, Deshaun Watson, quote, needs to be put down like a dog.
Yeah, he's putting the dog in dog pound.
Yeah, right? Like, he's the dog that just needs to go in that dog pound. The Browns, they do not trust the dog in Watson.
No, they do not. The dog, not the dog. There's a big difference there.
He doesn't have that dog in him. He just has a little puppy dog in there. Yeah, it's not
even. You actually want to be around a little puppy dog.
So how did the two of you fare on Sunday? It being our longest day of football in a long time, 15 and a half hours.
15
Um,
hours and 37 minutes of football.
Woo!
the day
What a
itself
time.
was pretty good, just not
What a
the weather.
time.
Absolutely insane. That Sunday night game was not even worth watching. We were on
Mm-mm.
Fortnite while that game was happening. I am not joking. We were all playing Fortnite and watching the
That's
game.
that is the low we went to because of how bad the game was.
It was that bad. And you know what? Fortnite was more entertaining.
Considering the fact Dak threw interceptions on 2 different days in the same game, that's how you know how low we're getting with that game.
Depending on your time zone location.
Okay. Well,
All right,
the
well,
time zone thing doesn't
EST is the
count.
best time. EST is the best time.
It's true. EST is the best time.
One interesting statistic from this season that we haven't really seen in much of past seasons is this is an all-time high for fourth down attempts.
Which is
And
absolutely crazy.
I'm not sure if it's within 5 weeks or just in the season in general, but we've definitely seen an uptick in the past 2 years or so, and it's carrying on. It's continuing to get higher and higher.
That's a
I
very
blame Dan.
interesting. I also blame Dan Campbell.
It is definitely Dan Campbell's fault.
That's a pretty good comment you just shared, Alex.
Oh, whoa. Nice try, Diddy. Well, I'm not ready for comment of the week yet because I want to talk about drinking first. I just saw a graphic. It said the Bengals fans drink the most out of anyone in the league. The Bills fans are second, which I absolutely believe. I'm surprised we're not first.
I am as well.
To cover a couple other teams, the Vikings were last. I want to hit the first and last on this graphic. And for y'all's teams, the Bears are 14th and the Cardinals are 20th.
14th.
Yeah, bottom half.
Yeah,
We're
so
sober.
I feel like
it
we
was
would be
kind of an
top
interesting
five.
thing I looked at.
I feel like we should be top five, but
See,
See,
is this
I
is
feel
this
like
based, is this based off of this season?
this is based off of a survey of a whole bunch of different fans, and it's not necessarily how much they drink. It was exactly how many beers they have in a game.
Okay, but is that this season?
They just asked, how many beers do you have in a game?
Oh,
That was the question.
that's
yeah,
weird then. I feel like we'd be a lot higher than
Saints
14th.
fans had over 8 on average.
This is a
That's
lot of beers.
wild.
That is a lot of
Yeah,
beers.
so I remember. So now y'all remember I mentioned nice try, Diddy. I'm gonna drunkly segue over back to the comments of the week here.
Alex, you're not
Our
drunk
comment
on
of
the
the week.
podcast, are you?
No comment. I'm not driving. It's okay.
No
Comment
comment.
of the week.
He's not driving.
Comment of the week. It's on Instagram. So there's that Fanta Crush thing we were talking about. Fanta and Crush have a little. We have a little Fanta in my system, Crush in my system rivalry we just started. And
Only
under
one
that,
is
under my
legit.
Crush. All right, man. Under my Crush video, because I was talking about the Denver Broncos orange Crush defense. I said the Crush was in my system, and Aiden said, "Nice try, Diddy." For context, this is in reference to P Diddy and his Diddy parties.
Really? Do we really need to talk about the Diddy
They were
parties?
not safe for work. Let's move on.
Do we really need to
We
discuss
do
the
not
Diddy
need to talk
parties?
about the Diddy parties.
You're right. You're right. My fault. My fault. My fault. Yeah.
Hey,
Anyway, that was
shout out to
funny.
the internet for deciding that I was going to be the cast member to hate. We had, I think, in on all of the platforms, there were 6 or 7 comments, and 5 of them were jabs at me. So
Yeah. Right.
bless. I love you
Most.
all. I've taken your constructive criticism. I got dental care. My teeth are gone. That's pretty good. Yeah.
Did
Also,
you
I'm working on saying low key less because that was also something people complained about.
did you go ahead and address the allegations of you saying "what the freak"?
Yeah, I did not say what the frick. Excuse you. That I don't even know what to say to you. You're disgusting. Okay?
Disgusting imbeciles. Anyway,
Disgusting imbeciles. You're probably like a Jaguars fan.
Speaking of Jaguars fans, because they have very mediocre stats over there in Jacksonville, I want to segue that to your stat line of the week with Ian Watkins.
Well, funny enough, thanks for the segue. The stat line of the week has nothing to do with Jacksonville.
Whoa!
What?
Whoa! In fact, it's kind of a complete 180. The stat line of the week belongs to Tennessee Titans legend, current god on the Washington Commanders, Marcus Mariota, Pan-Pacific legend. He put up a resounding three throws for one completion and -2 yards.
It's impressive.
What
That's
a
pretty
what a
good.
what a
That's
performance
pretty
from
good.
Titans legend Marcus Mariota.
He's up
And
there.
honorable mention to Tyreek Hill for having 6 catches off 9 targets for 69 yards. 6 for 9, 69 yards. Congratulations,
Nice.
Tyreek Hill, for an honorable mention.
Nice.
Nice.
Sigma.
You know who's nice? Mascots are nice. I have our mascot update for you guys. And unfortunately, the only thing I really have to report is that they are not being very nice. And they keep trying to make us pay so much money that we don't have to get them on our show. So I will continue just berating them with emails. We're going to hit them up with the DMs. We are going to get that mascot on this show. We still need
Hey,
the greatest mascot award to be given
just
out.
a just a little tidbit here. If you support the podcast, then we get the money we can use to even pay for a mascot if we need to. Just saying.
It's not hard.
But we didn't.
This is true. Just
John
saying.
Pork.
It's
John
not
Pork.
John Pork. May he rest in peace.
May he rest in peace.
Speaking of rest in peace, the teams at the bottom of our power rankings.
Alex, so
Well, hold on.
you
Let's step on
forgot
the brakes
something.
real quick. Let's step on the
Oh,
brakes real quick because I know it was the bye week, but we still got a Will Levis meme of the week. Okay? Still,
Oh,
it's not really Will Levis specifically, but it's a Will Levis. You see it and you think that's just Will Levis. So
yeah.
today's Will Levis meme of the week came from that pretty good Colts Jaguars game. Brian Robinson is running with the ball. He's standing straight up, and the Colts defender is right behind him, just a plank. Almost completely lateral, arms just sticking out, complete plank.
bro, Loki thought he
The
was
ref's just
Malik
in the
Neighbors.
background, just looking at it.
Bro thought he was Malik Neighbors trying to catch a ball, and then he realized he was actually trying to catch a person, and he was quite off.
And it said he caught some turf.
I also do like the
True.
little. I also do like the little addition that we chose the AFC South game in memory of Will Levis.
In memory of Will Levis. He's not dead, he just doesn't know how to play football.
He just has the bye week, so we have to remember him for this week.
He's not dead, he just forgot a meme.
He didn't give us a meme this week. But it's okay because we've got plenty of other teams to meme on this week. Let's talk about the baddies. Oh. So, as you know, every week the three of us make our Footballers Anonymous power rankings. And how these work are each one of us rank all 32 teams in the NFL, and then we take all three rankings and average them together to get our group power rankings. If there is a tie, we will discuss and eventually vote on which one we think should take the higher spot. And I am proud to announce that this week we have a record low in ties, with only 2 ties out of all 32 NFL teams, both of which are in the top 12. So we are going to have some
Oh.
good discussions today. But before we get into that, we got to talk about our bottom 3, the baddies. So starting off at number 30, you know them, you love them, unless you're a Bills fan, in which case you love to hate them. We got the Miami Dolphins. Ugh.
What a team.
What a team.
That's all I have to say.
Without Tua, you are even worse than we thought you were.
They're lucky they played New England. That's all I'll say.
Yeah,
Like that's all I have to say. They're
it's
lucky they played New England because that is the only team in the league I think they'd beat right now.
absolutely terrible. But not as terrible as our second baddie. Falling in at number 31, we got, this makes me sad, the Carolina Panthers.
I
Man, the
repeat
Red
again.
Rifle did not show up.
What a game that was. What a game.
What a game! What a game!
Well, I'll talk about that one more later, though.
But first, we have to get to the Ultra Baddie. Ladies and gentlemen, falling in at spot number 32, a team that just a couple weeks ago we all had high hopes for, the New England Patriots.
What
What
a
a
fall. What a fall. This team was number one for so many years, and now they are sitting at the bottom of the pack at 32.
What a disappointment. I mean, I don't have much to say about this team other than the fact that they're starting Drake May next week, which both makes me sad because he should be developing, but also happy because maybe he just needs to play.
Here's the thing about that though, because they're deciding to start him not versus Miami, but versus Houston.
Very questionable decision right there.
Just a bit of a questionable decision.
I do want to look at this Miami New England game because I mean it was very boring, but it was still at least close, which kind of shows how bad these two teams are. Seeing how competitive it was. Neither of the teams had any offense to speak of whatsoever, and it's funny. Ooh, excuse me. It's funny. It neither of these teams had any offense to speak of, and it's funny because it's not like they're going against powerhouse defenses either. Like the offenses are just that bad, which I see the case for wanting to start Drake May, but they really should have done it versus Miami to see what he could do before he gets thrown into the fire. Jacoby Brissett had 18 to 34 for 160 yards. Ramondre Stevenson actually played a good game. He's been like the lone decently okay bright spot on the Patriots offense. Like he's a good running back, but that's about all they have. And I mean, obviously the Dolphins didn't do much better. I'm convinced the reason they won is because they had the honorable mention stat line for the stat line of the week, and that carried them to victory. I don't know.
Patriots, congratulations at being the Ultra Baddies and disappointing literally everyone watching football right now. But don't worry because we're not going to talk about disappointing teams anymore because we have our top 12 coming at you. But before we do that, we would like to give an honorable mention. Barely missing the top 12, coming in at number 13, our very own Chicago Bears. Ian.
What do we Aaron Rodgers leading them?
Chicago. Listen, here's what I'll say about Chicago. There's a few things to touch up on. I'm not gonna go too deep into it. Just gonna make sure it's smart and concise. Williams, amazing game. He continues to progress beautifully. 20 for 29, over 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks this week. Swift, he stayed pretty consistent, I would say. 21 attempts, 73 yards, touchdown of his own. Should have had like two more, but they got called back and other things. He also had 47 receiving yards. Roshan Johnson, post touchdowns. His second one, unfortunately, he went to celebrate, turned around, people were just fighting. Kind of unfortunate for him. DJ Moore, legacy game, 5 for 8, 105 yards, 2 touchdowns. That connection looked beautiful. Komet had 50 yards of his own. A few things touched upon defensively. Beautiful. This defense is on another level. 11 straight games in which our defense has allowed 11 or 21 or less points. Insane in one way. And two, this was our eighth consecutive win at home. So I don't know. The Bears. I know it was the Panthers. I will say I understand it was the Panthers. But we clicked. This was an ego boost that we needed. Everyone played amazingly. So I think going into next week playing Jacksonville and London, I think we have a very, very, very good shot at winning that game by a good margin.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, you were clicking at least, so you love to see it. Um, But I mean, we'll see. We'll give you the benefit of the doubt until you start playing some real teams again. But until then, let's get into our real top 12. At number 12, you have Ian's favorite person, Justin Fields, and the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm legit just going to mute my mic, Ian, and just let you talk about Justin Fields.
That's what I'm gonna do too.
All right, let's get this started. Justin Fields, listen.
All right, that was
consider-
fun. Moving on. TJ Watt with his 100th sack. Bravo to
Yeah,
him. That
100
was
total.
incredible.
Nice.
Got there faster than JJ did. That might be our fault.
14 games.
But it's okay.
TJ Watt did it in 106. JJ Watt got it in 120. And now that places him, he is TJ Watt's at 101. That puts him 13 and a half behind his brother. So the only other person to ever get to 100 faster than TJ Watt was Reggie White, who did it in 96 games, which is insane.
I'm
It's
gonna be
absolutely insane.
I'm gonna be completely honest here. I think TJ Watt got to 100 sacks faster than I got to scrolling and finding the Pittsburgh Steelers on our stat line sheet. I could not find them for the life of me. Um, yeah. So I know Ian wants to glaze Justin Fields. Kyle Allen came in for a play
Oh my
and
god.
was
Oh my
1
god.
for 1, didn't have an incompletion. I think if he stayed in, they would have won. I don't know. I think
Crazy.
Kyle Allen's better.
Yeah, I mean,
I
hey,
Crazy.
don't know.
Alex and I both turned away from Fortnite just to watch Kyle Allen come in.
Crazy.
Kyle Allen's the goat.
Crazy.
He was on the Bills. He's the goat. He's the goat.
He is okay. He's not the GOAT.
Crazy.
Mitch Trubisky is still the
Mr.
GOAT.
Trubisky's the goat, but
This is true. I mean, he's not lying.
Ian is visibly angry, and it's really funny.
I'm not physically angry. I'm thinking about Trubisky, so I completely forgot about everything else.
You know what?
That's
That's fair. That's
so
fair.
fair.
My brain filled up
That's
with
so
light, and
fair.
I didn't know what else to do.
All right, and at number 11 we have the Arizona Cardinals coming in with a crazy win against the San Francisco 49ers. A divisional game making the Cardinals 2-0 in their division. Yes, those 2 wins might be their only wins, but they're 2-0 in the division, which is pretty good. Right away, the Cardinals looked like they were going to have a serious advantage because this was the hottest football game ever played in Santa Clara. And, Arizona is like the team built for that. They are regularly practicing in the triple digits, and it showed. This was the Cardinals' first win against the 49ers since January of 2021, which is absolutely crazy. Right off the bat, Kyler Murray had his longest touchdown run of his career, which made him the fastest quarterback to run in a game in 8 years with a speed of 21.27 miles an hour. For reference, Usain Bolt's top speed is 23.35 miles an hour. He was that fast. He started celebrating at the 44-yard line.
I do want to note because I mean, I think there's a little bit of a perspective where people might think that maybe we have the Cardinals too high, which I think that's a little fair. I disagree. I put them at the spot that they're in, but it's always better than Pete Prisco. Mr. Pete Prisco here put them at 21 below the New York Jets, the Philadelphia Eagles, the Los Angeles Chargers, the New Orleans Saints, the Denver Broncos, and the San Francisco 49ers. So,
That is just wrong. I mean, you can make an argument that they are lower than 11 and I'll hear you out. But that is just absurd.
21 is insane.
21 is absolutely insane. Did you know that the 49ers were completely shut out during the second half of that game? That is the first time that has ever happened in Brock Purdy's career. And not only that, but Kyle Shanahan before this had never lost a game where he was up by more than 10 in the fourth quarter. He was 38-0 when up by 10 in the fourth quarter, and he is
which
now
is also
38-1.
impressive considering his choking history.
Yeah, that is absolutely crazy. So Cardinals, big games coming up. Easier opponents than the 49ers, I would say. So this team could be getting real hot real fast, but we'll see how this momentum shifts.
You guys definitely need to. Call of Duty's coming out soon. Kyler Murray already has a contract with them.
I didn't even mention that. Kyler Murray has a partnership with Call of Duty now, which is
That's
absolutely crazy. Um, I mean, he's making bank off of it, so props to him. I was watching an interview with him that he put on his YouTube today, and literally more than half the questions were about Call of Duty, and it was absolutely insane. And then at the end of the interview, you know those Call of Duty ads where the guy's like the I'm the fill-in guy, or I don't remember what it's called, but the guy who like
yeah.
replaces you. He was in the video and they were continuing the interview with Kyler, but it was the fill-in guy being Kyler. It was so funny. So anyways, Cardinals, I hope you can get hot before Kyler gets sucked in. Not really. I love you, Kyler. You'll be just fine. Um, but anyways, speaking of the Cardinals getting hot, at number 10, we have their opponent next week, the Green Bay Packers.
I have to say.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say. You're a fraud. What was that interception? Like that was Will Levis material. I could have picked that as Will Levis team of the week. What was that? I whatever. You're a bum, Jordan Love. That's all I have to say. The Packers are 1-2 with him. They're 2-0 with Malik Willis. As far as I'm concerned, Malik Willis is the better quarterback. Yeah, that's about all I have to say.
They did have a scary close game versus LA, a team that has so many injuries, and Matt Stafford is trying to like fight for his life to get anything out of that offense. That
We,
interception was also very bad.
we do talk about the defense, though. I mean, McKinney with his 5th interception in 5 games.
Oh
First
yeah,
player
no,
in the
that's
Super Bowl era. First player in the Super Bowl era to have a pick in each of their first 5 starts with a new team.
Absolutely crazy stuff.
absolutely impressive. I mean, the defense, the team all around is very good and very balanced and doesn't have a ton of weaknesses, but they've definitely had some like Jordan Love. Ian is gonna do his hating thing on Jordan Love, but
He's a
you also
bum. He's overrated as hell.
you also you also can't deny that last year he played good in as so far this season he's
Yeah.
been questionable. He's had good moments, but I mean the Vikings game that was bad. The Eagles game he had some bad moments. Granted that was on the Brazil field, but that was still bad. He was injured for 2 games. They won both those games. Granted against the Titans and Colts, but they still won. And then had that really bad interception was the Rams. He's got to clean that up, or they're going to be in trouble versus some good teams.
I don't care how he played last year. He did not play. His play was not worth $250 million.
It is very fair. Sorry, I'm going to be drinking a lot of water. I'm still recovering from being sick this weekend. It was a perfect day to be sick on Sunday where I could just sit for 15 hours and watch football.
All right.
We love
Yeah.
this. We love it. We love it. Okay, at number 9, we have to give a quick disclaimer. See, we had an issue here mathematically. Um, this team is not a top 10 team, and we just have to say that right now. Unfortunately, due to disagreements on other teams' placements and complete agreement on where this team should place, certain teams were lowered and this team was raised to 9. But point being, at number 9, we have the only one of our teams that lost this week. Let me just pull out the victory ice cream real quick. We have the Buffalo Bills.
I have my ice cream here as well, but it's been sitting here, so it's kind of melted now. I just poured it out.
You know, kind of on a
I'll
little bit of a little bit of a whim here. I'm gonna pull out the loser red velvet cupcake
Here we go,
that
Ian.
just so happens to be sitting in my
There you go.
fridge.
There you go.
I
Now,
assume melted to do that.
before we talk about how my team lost and y'all's didn't, scoreboard, check the rankings. Anyway,
Okay.
That's crazy.
It's
so
wild.
so now that I have my cupcake, starting from the top, it's similar issues to um last week versus Baltimore. I don't want to go on a crazy tangent here. Receiving core though can't catch a ball if it's not thrown directly in the chest. That's part of the issue. Josh Allen did have a historically low completion percentage. I cannot excuse him for that.
Can I throw some stats out real
Yeah,
quick?
of course.
Yeah, so
I,
Josh Allen went 9 for 30. And for context, that is the lowest completion percentage for any quarterback throwing for above 30 attempts in a game in over 30 years. That is a 30 for 30, ladies and gentlemen. An incredibly low stat line. Historically bad performance from Josh Allen.
I will say, um, this is not all due to Allen being like that was not obviously all on Allen. His receiving game was terrible. I could probably count a good like 8 to 10 drops. Maybe not that. Like a good 8 drops in that game, 8 to 10 drops. Some of it is on Allen still. He was definitely not in the zone. And James Cook had a pretty good game still. He's been a good bright spot when we need him to be. I do wish we gave the ball to him more at the end of the game. The coaching atrocious. Time management atrocious. I don't know why we didn't try to run the ball. We were not going to get down the field, especially with how Allen was playing and how the receivers were not catching anything. Throwing it 3 times was idiotic. 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks in a row, I'm questioning the play calling. And then yeah, obviously a lot of drops. The other thing I did want to talk about Josh Allen's concussion. I don't know how he came back into that game. Like, yeah, I don't know how he came back in that game. They should have kept Mitch Trubisky in there. He would have won the game for us because he's the GOAT. He had a
Always.
critical handoff. He handed off perfectly to the point where I was sitting there. We were all sitting there. We watched that handoff and we were inspired by his handoff. And then Josh Allen came back in
He
and I was
changed
like,
my life.
it changed his life. It changed all of our lives. Josh Allen came back in, not played and then coming back after concussion, he looked even worse than he did before, which is crazy because I think a lot of his incompletions in the first half were due to the receivers, and then it just got worse because of the concussion. He was just missing throws after that too. It was just an all around bad situation. Obviously,
It's
losing to Stephon Diggs is another thing too, but whatever.
it's worth mentioning that immediately after coming back from a pretty bad injury that was clearly a concussion, to seal the game, the coaching staff decided to do 3 passing plays in a row
Mm-hmm.
because I was
Yeah,
smart.
I mentioned
Naturally.
that earlier. Like it was just
Yeah.
terrible, terrible play calling. We have James Cook too. He was going. He didn't have his best game, but like he had a good game. 82 yards and a touchdown. Like that's not bad. That's good stats, and he was running good. I don't know why we didn't use him there. One more thing, and I want to hit this before we move on. There's a lot of comments online saying we need Stephon Diggs. Y'all keep saying you don't need a Stephon Diggs. That is false. We do not need Stephon Diggs. We need a receiver one. We do not miss Stephon Diggs. We miss the spark of having a wide receiver one. There's a difference because Stephon Diggs actively, especially last year, made our offense worse towards that second half of the season when he was not putting up good numbers and he was asking for the ball and dropped that ball versus Kansas City. Point being, we do need a wide receiver one, and I hope we get a good wide receiver one. Either that or someone develops. But we've been looking at Adams and Cooper, so maybe.
I think
Sorry, I
this
did go a little longer on my tangent.
No, it's okay. I think this game was good evidence about just how much this offense is the Josh Allen show. And when Josh Allen is not in it, the Bills coaching staff doesn't really know what to do, and the team doesn't click.
I'm kind of questioning our coaching staff.
All right, so talking about the Bills, we have another really good transition into our first of two ties, only two ties, for 7th and 8th between the Houston Texans and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So let's start with Houston since we're kind of already on the subject. Stephon Diggs had more yards than the entire Bills wide receiver core.
See, but like, it's not like Diggs had a crazy amount of yardage either. That's more telling of us than him. He had a good game. Don't get me wrong, but it's not like he put up like 130 yards. Like he had he had a couple good catches towards the end. He was only like 2 for 27 by like the end of the third quarter. Like it wasn't like he mostly came out at the very end of the game.
Yeah, but I think the sad part is the fact that he didn't need 130. I think if it was 130, it would be a little bit less sad. Was the fact that he didn't need 130, he only needed 82. So I think
Yeah.
that's what's the real sad part is.
Are you
And
laughing at that
Houston,
or at my amazing ice cream?
No. Sorry. I didn't mention. While we're talking about ties, I'm going to be tying a tie around my neck.
That is the dumbest bit I've ever seen.
You know what though?
hopefully you don't fail to tie it, just like the Bills did because they lost off a game-winning field goal.
Yeah. Hey
Can
Buffalo, this
Alex
is how you tie.
can Alex tie better than the Bills?
Yes, I screwed up tying the tie. I guess I am more like the Bills than I realized.
Back to my point. The
You're stuttering more than Josh Allen did with the ball. Just get to the
Oh,
point.
I've done it twice. What is wrong with me today? I literally tied. I had two concerts this week, and I tied it obviously for those, and I'm just not. I'm turning more to the Bills as I go.
I can't tell if you're making this up or if this is genuine.
No, this is genuine. This is the sad part.
Okay, Ian, we need to lock back in. Lock in. Okay, you know what? We're gonna cut to an ad real quick.
Mayotivations with Will Levis.
Motivation
yeah,
is inspiring.
what a guy! I love that guy.
Mayotivations.
They
Will
inspired me
Levis
so
is
much, and I actually tied the tie right this time.
Good job, Alex. So I guess while we're here, we should probably talk about the other team a little bit. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the most electric Thursday night football game that we've gotten so far. Baker Mayfield had a game.
he did only 5 incompletions,
Not bad at all.
and Mike Evans actually had his 100th career touchdown, but that's off of 99 reception touchdowns. One of those 100 touchdowns came off a fumble recovery.
Wow.
I will say, and credit the Bucks. The reason they're not dropping, obviously, that was a great game. I think if they played any other team this week, like if you take it like they have this performance against any other team, I think they win. But like the Falcons were just insane. That 500-yard game from Kirk. We'll get to them in a minute. But they had an incredible game, and I think I'm gonna just segue this. I think they played better than Houston, even though Houston won. Houston's offense did not look good in that second half at all, even really in the first half. They haven't looked incredible. They've been winning games. They are a good team, but I think Tampa Bay is showing it more, which is why I have them ahead.
I'm going to agree on that one. I'm going to put Tampa above Houston purely because I think that was a performance that would have beat most teams if Kirk Cousins didn't just become Kirko and get those 509 yards. The fact that they even
Go
kept that,
Chains.
the fact that they even kept that like as a good game with those 509 yards, like their offense was electric. Like Mr.
Like
Electric.
me, Mr. Electric, your favorite podcast host.
Okay, so we have the Houston Texans at 8, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 7, and that brings us to number 6. Again, with the perfect transitions, the team that beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Kirko Chains and the Atlanta Falcons. Wow.
Kirko, more like Kirk Goat.
Kirk Goat.
a lot of younger guys. It kind of took a minute for them to click. I think the first 2 games they were really showing that. I don't think they really turned on until like that last drive against Philly when we really saw what they could do. They've really turned it up, and I think they're playing as well as actually better than than people thought they would.
Kyle Pitts.
88 yards is good for a tight end, but like I feel like he should have had more, at least in a game since then. But then again, it was also Arthur Smith, and Arthur Smith doesn't know how to give the ball to the good players like you're supposed to. So
Bijan kind of been lacking recently, and Algier didn't even have a good game this week either. He had 6 attempts for 12 yards.
I don't know if the play calling in the run game has been the best, though. To be fair, I mean, we saw that against the Chiefs to its most extreme.
yeah,
But the most effective way that this offense has been moving the ball is when you just give it to Kirk and just let him throw. All right, up next at 4 and 5, we have our second and only other tie of this week. And ooh, I love this matchup because the Baltimore Ravens and the Washington Commanders, who are playing this week. The Baltimore Ravens gave us what was maybe the best game this week. The Bengals and the Ravens had a shootout. It was intense. Lamar looked incredible. That was MVP Lamar playing for sure, turning fumbled snaps into touchdown throws.
That was a crazy play. He stiff armed him. He was back 20 yards and just delivered a beautiful ball, beautiful ball to Isaiah Likely in the end zone.
What's with the sunglasses, Alex?
I wanted to talk about Joe Cool because Lamar played great, but also they were very close to losing that game because Lamar fumbled and then Evan McPherson decided to miss a field goal. Lamar and Burrow, I like to think had like a little like MVP battle in this game. Like they both played out of their minds, which obviously is why the game was so good. But yeah, why I put on the sunglasses.
Mark Andrews, he had 55 yards.
He
He had
actually did
yardage this game.
something.
He had 4 catches for 55 yards. Another player
It's
too,
about time.
Derrick Henry. He had 14 attempts and it was like 40 yards. He comes out, the Bengals missed the kick. He takes the handoff 50 yards. It's more than half of his yardage off one play. And the one TD he had this game was his 100th TD of his career. So he is now at 10,000 rushing yards and 100 touchdowns in his career. Pretty good stats.
For running back standards, that's actually very impressive considering the longevity of running backs. It hasn't been done since Marshawn Lynch in 2017 or 18, one of the two. And I don't know if it'll happen anytime soon just because of how short-lived running backs' careers tend to be. It's getting more rare by the year.
Christian McCaffrey, prime example
This
of
is
that.
true. If Christian McCaffrey plays, he'll hit it, but he's been so injured that he probably won't get there.
I mean, he might. I think he'll be
It's
back in the
possible.
game. It's just a question of whether he'll still look the same or not. I mean, he's out in Germany right now. Like, it's getting serious. This is bad stuff.
Speaking of bad stuff, the Browns and the team that played the Browns is actually good stuff, the Commanders.
Jaden Daniels is an incredible quarterback.
I think if I could be wrong here, but I'm pretty sure Luke McCaffrey has caught every pass that's come his way this year.
I don't know. Jaden Daniels is the first quarterback in NFL history with 1,000 passing yards and 250 rushing yards in their first 5 career games, which is very impressive. He's got legs.
Him and McLaurin him and McLaurin have had a good connection, but one thing that continues to be a trend is just the amount of incompletions that have gone McLaurin's way. This week he was 4 for 8 and still 112 yards, which is ridiculous. But that's still 4 incompletions that were just added on to Daniel's 11.
With that all noted, I'm probably gonna put Washington above him just because I like Washington more. Y'all can have your says though. I think y'all will have a more reasonable opinion.
Well, as someone who watched Washington just absolutely stomp over their defense, I am also going to put the Commanders above the Ravens purely because of also bias because they absolutely stomped us. But
More reasonable.
I still believe they're the better team.
Yeah, the record difference also is a big factor here. I think the Ravens start, and as well as the fact they almost lost to the Cowboys and the Bengals.
I agree. I think as of right now, the Commanders are the better team between the two.
We'll see that.
We will see. Coming in at number 3, team on the bye, the Detroit Lions.
Not much to say.
Only thing I have to say here is congratulations to David Montgomery. I miss you. He has won the Angry Run scepter twice this year.
They only dropped because they had the bye. That's literally it.
Yeah, that
Sad.
doesn't make me very happy. But number 2 is the Kansas City Chiefs because they actually played decent football this time. Decent.
They actually
Decent
they
football.
actually they actually won by multiple scores this time.
Juju Smith-Schuster, I don't know what got into him, but he had 130 yards. Insane.
I'm telling
He
you,
just
the Chiefs and wide receivers is like the running backs and quarterbacks of San Francisco. Anyone can do it. They just
Here's
join the
what,
team and it works.
here's what I will say about Juju, though. He had 8 targets, 7 receptions. The one incompletion that came his way was a slant in the end zone that got popped into the air and was picked by a Saints D lineman. So we got a big man interception this week. And he took it pretty far out of the end zone. I believe he took it 27 yards, was it?
yeah. It was Sounders. He used to play for Kansas City. I know that, which is actually funny about. That's funny. That's a funny thing too.
I will say it was because Taylor Swift was there. Travis Kelce had a ball game, and a very interesting pitch he had that the Chiefs, Andy Reid claims that they run every day in practice, but definitely looked improvised. They definitely do not run that every day in practice.
I don't believe it for a second. I do not believe that that was drawn up to be like that, especially because knowing Kelsey. Jason Kelsey said he was talking to some analyst during the game. Jason Kelsey himself said that that's just something Travis Kelsey does, and that's what we've seen him do. I don't see that. I just don't see that being designed, especially the way it played out. I don't think that's a designed play.
Absolutely not. And I think this is why I moved the Chiefs up because that is always the very rare good football that I love to watch from the Chiefs because it's very creative and different. Um, and whether you like them or not, it's electric. I mean, it was an exciting play. I thought it was pretty cool. Haven't seen anything like that since the Lions Cardinals game. 2-minute warning, but that's fine. Yeah,
No,
numero uno. Who would have guessed it's Sam Darnold and the Minnesota Vikings, despite playing a pretty ugly game against the Jets?
Yeah, honestly, this wasn't really as good of a game as we've seen out of the Vikings. Will say it did shine. They did shine defensively, as has been the story. Aaron Rodgers got it picked off 3 different times, one of those being a pick six. So offensively, just wasn't really what we've seen out of these Vikings, but it was still defensively, it was still good enough to balance it out and keep them number 1 for me.
man, like they still continue to look good and actually genuinely feel like a 5-0 team. 11 interceptions in 5 games is criminal. Like that's just insane. They also did this in London.
They did do this in London.
The
The
Vikings did.
Bears.
The Vikings did also take a hit with Aaron Jones leaving the game early with a hip injury, so we're gonna have to see how he recovers from that over the next course of the next few weeks, because I could see that at least in some way affecting their team as a whole.
Okay, so those are our power rankings. Going through all of them from bottom to top at 32, we have the New England Patriots at 31, Carolina Panthers at 30, the Miami Dolphins at 28, the Tennessee Titans, 29, the Tennessee Titans at 28, the Cleveland Browns, 27, the Las Vegas Raiders, 26, the Jacksonville Jaguars, 25, Joe Flacco, 24, the Los Angeles Rams, 23, the New York Giants, 22, the New York Jets, 21, the Dallas Cowboys, 20, the Denver Broncos, 19, the Cincinnati Bengals, 18, the San Francisco 49ers, 17, the LA Chargers, 16 the Seattle Seahawks, 15 the New Orleans Saints, 14 the Philadelphia Eagles, 13 the Chicago Bears, 12 the Pittsburgh Steelers, 11 the Arizona Cardinals, 10 the Green Bay Packers, 9 the Buffalo Bills, 8 the Houston Texans, 7 the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 6 the Atlanta Falcons, 5 the Baltimore Ravens, 4 the Washington Commanders, 3 the Detroit Lions, 2 the Kansas City Chiefs, and 1 the Minnesota Vikings. Now we're going to take a quick break for our sponsor.
Mayo dip be creamy, and your quarterback dreamy. Oh, hey.
Yeah, so the sunglasses come off for that. We are not doing that. I don't care if it's motivations. No more ad breaks.
Fine.
Anyway, so I think this is a good time to talk about our games of the week to close out the podcast here.
Before we talk about our selected games, I have to take a second to issue a public apology. Last week, I made the critical error of choosing Pittsburgh and Dallas as a game of the week. No, I just have to apologize for that. It's not what we represent as an organization. I'm sorry. Here at Football Denales, we value credibility and ownership above anything else. I went against that when I chose a game like that to be game of the week, and I'm so sorry. I hope that you guys as our viewers can just take the time. Forgive me. Realize that this in no way affects the other two. It's just, I'm sorry. I can't.
The hand over the camera is crazy.
So we're going to take a quick ad break.
No, we said no more ad breaks.
Too late.
No.
Num num.
Starting off our games of the week this week, we've got a very important game between Washington and Baltimore. As you can see, we had them tied this week. This is a very crucial game for both teams. I think this is, especially for the Ravens. The Ravens have been kind of iffy. I think this is a very important game for them to show what they're all about. And I think Washington, I think it's another chance for them to just continue showing what they're about.
Up next, we got a very big division game in the NFC West. The 49ers are coming to Seattle to battle the Seahawks. This is pretty much a game for the top of the division, unless the Cardinals. Well, I guess the Cardinals are also a pretty big factor here, too. But this game really is the two of the most competitive teams in the division who are really trying to fight for the top spot. Both of these teams are coming off some embarrassing losses. It will be electric and exciting, and it's going to have big implications for the NFC and the NFC West.
Our last game of the week is a little of a sleeper pick on my part. I'm taking the Chargers going into Denver to play against that orange crush defense. Now, say what you want about the Chargers and not more so Denver. I am a huge Denver believer, and they both think I'm crazy. I am believing this team. I think this game's going to be a very good game with Justin Herbert and the Broncos in general. I think Bo Nix is going to show out. I think it's going to be an incredible game, and I'm putting all my faith into this game. I think the Broncos are going to show out, and I think the Chargers are going to give them a good game because they haven't played a bad game besides obviously Carolina, but that was Carolina's fault, not them.
So with that, those are our 3 games of the week, and this is the conclusion of this episode of our podcast. Congratulations, guys. We've officially made it past 3 episodes, which most starting podcasts don't. So that's an achievement for us. Okay, we've received a lot more haters, which is good. Also, a lot more followers. Shout out to my dad. He's pretty cool. Ian, I know your family does too. Yeah, lots of people we don't know, actually.
It's been a really good growth experience. It's been fun to kind of go about and see what's happening with everything. We're going to keep it going. We got big
we're
plans,
going to keep it going.
of course.
And before we wrap up, just want to take a second to shout out both of our socials. Footballers_anonymous on Instagram. Check us out there. And then at FBA Pod on TikTok. Make sure to check us out there.
Shout out Mr. Dylan.
who took his comment down, by the way. We forgot to talk about that. Dylan, you took down your comment. What the heck?
He got mad.
Someone got mad. Anyways, with that, thank you for joining us. If you want to help out people affected by Hurricane Helene, redcross.org/NFL. It takes 2 minutes to donate. Be a great mascot. Be like Jackson DeVille with Trevor Lawrence hair. We'll see you in the next one. Alex is a loser.